Riccardo Calafiori, buongiorno, amore mio. Welcome to the match reaction here on Latte Firm. Arsenal have beaten Wolves by a 0-0, thanks to Riccardo Calafiori, and we were down to 10 men at Wolves in a controversial afternoon of football. Welcome to the show. So much to talk about. My God, the performance, the refereeing decisions, the impact on the title race, the effort of the boys, the Reds. Oh, wow. Wow. I hope you've had a lovely day. Really, I hope you've had a lovely day. Hope you're all staying warm. Hope you're all well, in good health. Gosh, during the game, I was thinking, oh my God, when you make content, when things don't go your way and you're not getting the results that you need, it's so hard. It's so hard. We all watch football. We all get really sad if we drop points or we lose games, and we just want to kind of like crawl into bed and just turn the lights off and just go to sleep. And making content is just a very, very painful reminder of every last mistake and every last thing that we have to talk about. But we won, and the race is on, and I feel good. Welcome to the show. Thank you for waiting so patiently. Really appreciate all of you joining me here. Let's go straight to the chat. That's where we're going to begin. It is on fire already. Paul James, good evening all. Never more proud of my team and never angrier with a ref and VAR. That is going to be, I think, the sentiment of tonight's show. Very, very proud of the boys. Very proud of the gaffer. We all lost our minds when the red card happened. Yet Mikel was, I'm sure he was seething, but he was so calm, and like to go in and to take the team talk at halftime, that takes some mettle. Welcome, Paul. Latif says, proud of the team effort, petition for Michael Oliver to never ref an Arsenal game again. Come on, you Gunners. 55 games Michael Oliver has refereed, 8 red cards in that time. Something's not right. And Latif Kadri also goes in to say, we still need a signing, though. I wonder what's going to happen in the last few days of the transfer window. Charles, welcome to the show. Hilarious. The English journos are rushing to Mikel Arteta for sensational comments rather than even a couple, let alone to sit back in their seats. Ring up PGMOL to question this kind of sport washing, and that's what is needed. Rudy Fizzle. What a name. I love it. After seeing Cunha today, it's a no for me. Walking around the pitch with his back to the ball, showing no interest at some points, horrendous body language, not what we need. Looked dangerous in a couple of moments, I've got to say. Tested David Raya a couple of times. But yeah, look, I think his head's out the door. I think his feet's out the door. His heart's probably out the door. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Cunha in the next few days. Trevor, welcome to the show. Says, good evening, FK. 1-0 to the Arsenal, but a very bad decision on Miles Lewis-Skelly from our good friend, Michael Oliver, with the clown face emojis. Trevor, you know it, man. I really appreciate you making the time to watch. Donald, welcome. Says, I hope every Arsenal player went up to Oliver after the match and said, see you next Tuesday. David Holiday, welcome to the show. Says, evening, FK and the Arsenal family. So proud of our resilience and grit today. I know our finishing was crap, but I really appreciate our constant effort and application in the face of ridiculous adversity. Yes, I think you're absolutely right, David. And listen, the finishing was bad. There's a slide on Kai Havertz. I'm not singling him out at all because you guys know how much I really like him, but the boys are struggling to take their chances. We are creating openings. Kai missed a couple of really glorious chances. The team could have done better over the last 4 or 5 games. Mikel and the board have got to act. We are so desperate for a forward of any kind, any type. And there are 2 or 3 out there. So I'm sure of it. There are 2 or 3 out there that can come in and make a difference. So hopefully we will get something done in the next few days. Welcome. Shane McD says, can't wait for secret videos of Michael Oliver to emerge. And see, he's talking about how he hates Arsenal. Yeah. Do you remember that? David Coote doing a line and talking about Liverpool and Klopp. I wonder. Karen, good evening. Welcome. Hello. Disaster averted with that Ricky goal. Someone's got to look into these refs. I will never trust them, especially with what's come out about David Coote. Good evening to you. Viraj, welcome. It's great to have you in the chat. Says, I can't get over that red card and VAR not interfering. After that, I became convinced that Raya would get a yellow for using his hands. David Raya, what a performance today. I mean, look, he's not been called into any incredible moments or saves, but everything he does on the ball is so calm and composed. He slows the game down at the right time. He speeds it up at the right time. Brilliant signing. Very, very clever. Really gets us going. Guna73 says, right now I have a weird mix of emotions. Absolute rage at the way Oliver ref the game, but happiness and pride at how our boys reacted and the result they managed to get. Yeah, listen. Today is a feeling of immense pride and immense relief an immense sort of fuck you at the PGA MOL and the referees. And it's just a brilliant feeling to have the 3 points on a Saturday night. 1-0 to the Arsenal. It's a fantastic feeling. Keep the chat active. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do follow, of course, Latte Foam on social, subscribe to the channel, get involved, like the video. It's a massive help to the channel as well. Let's bring up the slides and keep the chat active. So, as we normally do, going into the game, very comfortable, although the headline does not suggest that it was a very comfortable evening. Oh, Ricky Calafiori, mamma mia. Going into the game, how was I feeling? I was in a fairly confident mood, quite jubilant last night. We did the late night lounge, a new show on Friday nights now with Yembele and Wembele, just a sort of chill out session after a week, looking ahead to the game. I think we were all quite confident. They went for 3-1 predictions. I was like 3-0, maybe 4-1. I thought we'd score a lot of goals today. Wolves, of course, with a terrible defensive record and not a single point gained this calendar year. It looks like they're going to end this month without a point either. And the team was good, although there were a couple of glaring omissions and a surprise inclusion for Ethan Nwaneri. So look, David Raya in goal, Jurien Timber, who I think is really in need of a rest at some point, but there's no one else to play. Ben White is not on grass yet. Tomiyasu is, of course, in training. Saliba Gabriel, the back two. Surprised to see Saliba come back so quickly. All the news was that he had some sort of muscle injury, so super recovery and was galloping away as he normally does today on the pitch. Young Miles Lewis-Skelly starting in at left back, played really well up until that red card. We will talk about that red card, do not worry. Thomas Partey in midfield, I thought had a really good game alongside Declan Rice and Nwaneri coming in for Martin Odegaard, who was poorly ill. It happens. Get over it. Like there's not aimed at you guys, but the socials went wild about Odegaard and how, he's sort of hiding behind bad form. People get sick. It's just what it is. Hopefully he'll be back very, very soon. Martinelli, Havertz and Trossard. And the bench was the worry for me. It's 2025 and we're going into a title race against the juggernaut that is on fire at the moment in Liverpool. And we've got 2 goalkeepers, 4 left-sided defenders, 2 retirees in Jorginho and Sterling, and a kid from the academy. It's just not good enough. And listen, I know we've got injuries. We've got so many players out. I can count them on both hands. However, the club have had time to address this. We need bodies so badly. We have to get 1 or 2 in, even if some players are coming back to fitness. Scott Welcome says, I'm really convinced that Michael Oliver has some need to insert himself into the story of the game at every opportunity. He really does think people are there to see him. It's interesting. Tava Ruiz, welcome back, my friend. Thanks for joining in last night as well. Says Michael Oliver doesn't like to have negative impact in a big game. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Nico, welcome to the show. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Richard Cauliflower only scores bangers. Is that the East End sort of name for him? Ricky Cauliflower. I love it. But yeah, look, I was confident going into the game, even with the omission of Martin Odegaard, even with Marino not being in the squad and with Nwaneri starting. I was excited. And I thought we'd take the game to them and win. And obviously we did win in the end. It wasn't as clear as we thought it was going to be. But it was, of course, Ricky Calafiori coming off the bench to get the winner today. His second goal, and love the celebration. We'll talk about that as well. Henke Ho's gone early. You know it, my man. You know it. Guna Boy says your players are too slow. The Premier League is not your level. I'm assuming you mean that. At Wolves, yep, he does. Wolves are going down, down, down. Jugsby, welcome, lads. Imagine we win the Champions League and the Premier League this season, despite everything we've been through. Solid performance against the odds yet again. Could you imagine if we won this Premier League title? Look, listen, if you're new to the channel, welcome, of course, but you won't know, that my heart kind of went when Bukayo Saka got injured. I think we all deep down knew how much of an uphill battle this would be. And look, we're somehow still thereabouts. And Wally, our good friend, always says the title race doesn't really start until sort of mid to late March, early April. And that's where we just have to be in that mix. And if players come back and we're 4 or 5 points off, you got to keep believing. The football now is not pretty. It's grim, it's tiring, it's stressful, it's just about getting over the line. And it's further sort of worsened by the fact that Liverpool are just blowing teams away. But listen, it's another away fixture. Wolves are going to be threatened with relegation. They're going to, step it up under this new gaffer and hopefully take points off other teams come the end of the season. Ipswich just got tanked by City 6, didn't they? And then they went to Anfield today. We weren't expecting anything else. So you've got to stay in the mix. But just imagine, Jugsby. Just imagine. Jack Socials, welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you also for tweeting Latte Firm earlier today. Jonathan K says, big up FK, I'm still fuming. Pure corruption and cheating. There is a lot of feeling around it being corruption and cheating and just incompetency, gross incompetence. We have the best league in the world, and we are still peddling out these mediocre referees. The PGMOL, the FA, the Premier League to protect its product, sorry, they should go across the world and nab the best refs from the continent, bring them to England, and let them elevate this product furthermore. We don't have any of these sorts of issues in the Champions League. We just played on Wednesday night against Dinamo Zagreb. Not one person. I can't even remember what the ref looked like. Can't even remember his name. There was not even one decision that I thought, that's a bit questionable. Every week there's something in the Premier League, and it is always Arsenal. And do you know what? I'm getting so sick and tired of this sort of phrase where it says, you'll never see a red card like that ever again. It's always us. Matthew D'Souza, welcome, says, even Mike Dean said Arsenal have a case for appealing it. Really? Mike Dean? The Mike Dean? Or is that your mate Mike Dean? Wow, I'm surprised. I did see Alan Shearer and the BBC and Chappers, of course, now the new co-host of Match of the Day, saying that is a nonsensical red card, quote unquote. Thomason, welcome to the show, says Michael Oliver is an effing disgrace. Wasn't a red card for MLS. Something is wrong with these refs. Great win. Manchester City will beat us next week. We can't score goals. Is it next week? Gosh, it is next. No, is it next week? The 4th of Feb, isn't it? Oh my God, it's the 25th of Feb. Yeah, it is. Raphael Kachanov, thank you, my friend. Welcome to the show. Chris says PGMOL must be fuming. Spectacular performance from their main clown, yet they've got nothing to show for it. Ben's just in a good mood. It's all about you. It's all about you. Michael Oliver, it's all about you. Big up Latte, says Thomason, after saying that Manchester City were going to batter us. I'll see you on the phone in, mate, at 9 o'clock. Good evening, FK, says V Vlad, still absolutely fuming at the decision. I think that's the worst decision I've ever seen. Well, listen, there's a catalogue of insane red cards at the end of this slide deck, and I will let you guys choose which one is the worst one. Flipdoc, welcome evening, all disgraceful officiating once again, and Henkeho, with all the injuries and ridiculous refs and other crazy things, it is so impressive that Arsenal are second at this point. And listen, I agree with that. I think there are a lot of people using every single potential sort of reason to lay into Arsenal about why we're not running away with this league title and why we're not doing better and playing better football and scoring more goals. Context, people. Think about everything we've been through. And it's not just the decisions. We've had a couple of red cards and a couple of really weird sort of decisions this season that really let us down. You know, the Brighton red, sorry, awkward itch. The Brighton red with Declan Rice sort of kicking the ball away. That was, half of the game. Saliba getting sent off down at Bournemouth. Trossard, red for kicking the ball away at the City Stadium. Michael Oliver that day as well. The red today. We've played so much football with 10 men. And we are down to bare bones because we've had so many injuries. And you guys would have seen it on the preview show last night. That slide that I had, which showed how many injuries Arsenal had to players that made them miss more than one game. And we're like 4th in that table, and Liverpool are like 2nd from bottom. So these things matter. They really matter. And Henke Ho, you're absolutely right. T, welcome to the show, says FK, what on earth do you even say? Is it inability? Is it corruption? Honestly, think there might just be the latter. I'm just amazed. Look, I really want to believe that there's no corruption in this game. I really want to believe that the game is pure and that it's just inept, incompetent, pathetic refereeing. I really want to believe it's just inability. But I've got to say, in 10, 15 years' time, it wouldn't surprise me if I'm sat around a table with all my old mates and sort of, reading stories about how the Premier League was corrupt for 10, 15, 20 years. It wouldn't surprise me. Jonathan K says, Yembele called out Michael Oliver last night. He did. He did. All about me. Michael Oliver, Michael Oliver, Michael Oliver. Right, let's keep moving through the slide. So look, 1-0 winners, and I do feel really good, and I've got this real bounce in my sort of step despite everything that's happened. And we started really well, and I just wanted to kind of focus on this. I'm not laying into Kai Havertz. I like the boy, and I've got to be honest, I've seen a couple of sort of messages on the timeline on the socials today about how we expect more from Kai Havertz and how we expect better from him towards the end. Like, he shouldn't just be falling over and letting Wolves have a one-man advantage. Like, Kai Havertz has been so good for us, so ever present. Like, the effort he puts into a game, off the ball, on the ball, running into space, running the channels, giving defenders a hard time. He's not the most prolific goal scorer, granted, but certainly in the last 4 or 5 weeks, playing every minute of every game, he's just spent. Like, he looks knackered, and he's often playing up front like as a sort of lone ranger without the support that he gets from the wide guys. So he's just running a lot. And today, I want to distinguish between effort and obviously his ability to finish. And they had 2 really good headers. This wasn't actually the better header. One header that sort of just nodded wide, and the other one that came across to him that he hit, sort of headed down towards Jose Sar's feet, but Sar, good positioning, blocked it with his right foot. That's the one that should have nestled into the net. But Kai Havertz is not having the best time in front of goal. I get that. I know he scored a couple of goals sort of recently, but he's not having the most efficient or prolific time at the moment in front of goal. But his work rate, you can't question. You can't really. If there are Arsenal fans out there that have watched our games properly, without thinking about agenda or what they want, just watch the game with an open mind. These boys are putting in every drop they've got. It might not be good enough. That's a different conversation. But in terms of effort, I can't knock any of these boys. They are literally playing through strains, through painkillers, through they're running on gas. They're just running on empty, let alone running on gas. So I feel really sorry for Kai. He could have done better with his chances, but I'm not having anyone knock his effort, in my opinion. Flipdog says 3 points the most important thing, despite the absolute reffing stupidity. Flipdog also goes on to say Richie only scores bangers. We are going to talk about the Italian stallion riding again. What do you guys make of the criticism of Kai Havertz? I think he probably knows that he should be more prolific in front of goal, but we've talked about him on this channel where we've talked about his sort of ball striking technique applies to his heading as well. He's not the cleanest. His shots kind of just like, they sort of bounce off him or faint off him, or they're sort of soft, airy, floaty shots that, rarely sort of bullet finishes either with foot or head. That's what I want to see more about him. Donald says, by the way, loads of flu going around this winter. Absolutely. Look, Odegaard is just ill, and that's fine, right? That's just the way that it happens. Jonathan Kay's come back on the refereeing point saying it's pure corruption at this point. I'm not sure. Thomason says it's Arteta's fault that we have injuries, Latte Firm. I don't think it's Arteta's fault that we have injuries. I think it's Arteta's and the club's fault that we don't have a squad big enough to cope with that, but also big enough to give him the luxury to rotate. I completely agree. I think he deserves some criticism for playing certain players into the ground. You look at Saliba's minutes this year. He's the most number of minutes this season. Gabriel, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz. These guys have played a lot of football for the last sort of 2 years. Saka, obviously, who's been injured, a horrific injury for Bukayo. So there is an element of like, come on, Arteta, you don't have to play him in every minute of every game. You could have rotated more, but then the squad's not deep enough. And now we're paying the price. I mean, you look at the bench, right? Thomason, don't know when you joined tonight's show, but like 2 goalkeepers, 4 left-sided defenders, 2 retirees in Raheem Sterling and Jorginho, and a kid from the academy. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Doug says, I would love it if it's Michael Oliver who hands us the trophy. I don't know in what you mean for the final game of the season. Yeah, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? That would be lovely. There's lots of this. Ricky Calafiori only scoring bangers. Let's move on from the missed chances and let's talk about the talking point of the game. Miles Lewis-Skelly seeing red. Look, I got to be honest with you. When I was watching it live, I sunk into the bottom of my sofa and I was in shock. We had a corner and it was a really bad delivery of the corner. The ball sort of bounced up and down once or twice in the edge of the box. Wolves in a routine breakaway, as you can see on that sort of left-hand image. Sorry, apologies for the lack of pixelation. Best I could find on the internet in terms of a still. And when you watch it in fast, normal speed, it's just a petulant trip of a player, something that you hate when it happens against you, but something that you love when it happens, from you to prevent a team getting away on the break. And immediately I thought, okay, it's going to be a yellow, maybe not even a yellow. Well, actually, it was definitely a yellow and, free kick to Wolves. Then the camera pans in on the ref and I'm like, hang on a second, is that a red card? And it was a red card. And I was speechless, shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I was trying to think, why would he give him a red? it didn't even look dangerous. It's not even like a clear goal scoring opportunity, which is what I thought he was trying to argue to Gabriel. Maybe, David Raya was on the halfway line. Maybe, from this image, these two were the last men back, and maybe the geezer breaking away was going to sort of chip Raya and score a goal. But then they slowed it down, and you see the replay, and you see the image on the right there, the top right. Okay, his studs are showing. It's on top of the player's foot. This thing happens at very fast speed, by the way. When you slow something down or pause something, it looks a lot worse than it actually is. But dangerous play. And then VAR checked it within a matter of seconds, and there was no clear and obvious error. And you can see in that image, I love that photo, by the way, bottom right. It's not ideal, of course, but I love it. They're all looking at him, and Miles Lewis-Skelly just walking away with the red card. And at that moment, you're thinking, right, the game's done. I'm sick of this Premier League title race. Liverpool were 3-0 up, I think, at this point. There was a lot of, in the WhatsApp chats, I'm sure you guys are all part of your own groups where everyone was just like, that's it, I'm turning it off. Can't be bothered anymore. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And to my point at the start of the show, I was raging. I was angry. I was indignant. I was frustrated. I was getting emotional. I was like, throwing my toys out the pram. And that's just how I felt in the heat of the moment. Imagine the players and imagine Mikel, like as manager, just about to go into half time. How does he stay so calm? Where do these managers get their mental strength from? Their resilience? It's honestly, it's ridiculous. Let me scroll down to some of the chat. By the way, Wayne is in the chat, says, glad that Thomasin is happy as ever. Zidane doesn't know what an Arsenal is. We're going to talk about Thomasin and Wayne probably in the post-match phone-in. Captain Shami, welcome to the show, says, all things considered, it's unbelievable how we're still in it. Get Cunha done and make it to Dubai for a well-needed rest. We go until the end. Ben coming back to me on the minutes. I think James Benge, great friend of the channel, mentioned that we've only had Rice, White, Saliba, and Saka on the pitch once. Is that right? Is that right? Yikes. He also goes on to say, I think Havertz is fatigued. Jonathan Kay says, FK, the club is actively running our players into the ground. Havertz is shattered. Yeah, listen, it's a combination of obviously not having squad options, but also Mikel Arteta being quite stubborn and playing every game of every minute for all of our top players. Wayne coming back on Kai says, Kai had to be helped off the field by physios at the end of the game. Such a workhorse. You're right, man. I mean, there was an image of him sort of being, when you're injured and you've got your arms around the shoulders of a couple of your squad people. That's what Kai was doing at the end. So I'm a little bit nervous. Do you know what? Someone mentioned this to me in the private chats, saying Billy Carpenter has done a good article on how fatigue affects finishing. I mean, it's not really rocket science. You would expect fatigue to sort of affect your game, but I'm going to look at it, and Billy Carpenter's an excellent writer. So thank you very much for that. Social Joins has just said apparently all 70% of Kai's goals, apparently 70% of Kai's goals are at home. He's not an away goal scorer, and he ain't a striker, he says. Interesting. Right, let me hear on the ref stuff. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat very well tonight. These videos are becoming more and more popular, and the chat is very, very active. Wayne, right, on the red card. Not only was a red card a farce, he didn't even give the Wolves player Gomez a straight red. Forget consistency in different games. We can't even have it in the same game. How many times have we been in shock this season, says Oysen. And Jonathan says, Michael Oliver always makes it about himself. Nico, after the choke and ass grab, choke and ass. Is that phrase? Have you hustled me there? In the Wolves home game that both went unpunished, this drove me up the wall. Jamie O'Hara was shocked it was a red card. Well, I never. 25th of January, Jamie O'Hara is shocked about a decision that's gone against Arsenal. I mean, that's when you know. Raphael says, not going to lie, I lost it at the TV. Harsh words were loudly muttered. Great word. Haven't been this livid since our COVID era. I was raging, man. I was so angry. So angry. But yeah, for me, it just wasn't. It wasn't the red card. I just farcical. And it's a sort of decision that, had it have gone against us, had our opposition team had that red card, I'd have been like, oh my God, it is our lucky day. Go and get yourself the lottery tickets, lads, because we are going to be in this. Vlad saying, how did VAR clear it so quickly? Well, they always clear things quickly when it comes to Arsenal. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Stephen, hope you're well, my friend, says, oh, look at me. I'm a referee. And Doug, this is how I felt. The great thing is we beat PGMOL today. Do you know what? I tweeted at full time an audio note to the PGMOL in my sheer excitement. Listen to this. I'm just going to play it. It's quite offensive. So 1 second. Goal! Arsenal! Riccardo Calafiore! Amore mio! Golazzo! He's better than Mamas. Yeah, I got a bit carried away there. I sort of tagged PGMOL, and I basically the tweet was "fuck you," which was very, very pleasing. Thank you, Jonathan K. Really appreciate that. And Doug, yeah, your point still stands. The great thing is that we did beat the PGMOL. Wayne, you've just reminded me. That was it. The Jesus ass incident where he was having his cheeks basically pulled wide open on the Emirates Stadium. Never thought I'd ever say that. Anyway, Havertz being choked. Do you remember that? Wow, FK Lord, your memory. Yeah, man. You know me. Doug loves that. Choke and ass grab. That's one for Nico Yova to work on. Oh, wow. And Rovikov, this is it. This is what I was saying just earlier. This cannot be the best league in the world with this level of officiating. It is the most entertaining league with the best teams and the best football, no doubt. But our referees are ruining the product, and the Premier League have to open up to this. They have to accept that we are not going to be the best league in the world if the officiating keeps bringing the quality of the product down. Look at the Champions League games. Even look at the Europa League games. No one talks about decisions the same night, the very next day. We're going to talk about this for the next couple of weeks or whatever until the next dipshit makes another error in a big game. So Lewis-Skelly goes off, and then, of course, Gomez was dicking around and flirting with a red card, and he got one. The image on the right-hand side there, a comparison of both, if you like, because as one or two of you have said in the chat that the VAR guys did look at this, and it was a second yellow. It wasn't even a straight red. I mean, look at the stamp on that. Look at the stamp on Jurrien Timber's leg there. How is anyone telling me that is less dangerous, less intense than the trip from Miles Lewis-Skelly? You can see the close-ups of both right there. Studs are showing on both. The contact is on his foot, and the contact from Miles Lewis-Skelly, and the contact is on his sort of ankle stroke, bottom half of his leg. Mate, it's infuriating, really. Alex Bellotti says, "Evening, Faisal. Are we attending Michael Oliver's house this weekend? Apparently the address has been leaked." Has it really? Has it fucking really? I'll be honest with you, it's tempting. That is for sure. VAR is scared to overturn the big referees like Taylor and Oliver. I think there's a point in that, Johnny. I really do, because Michael Oliver is supposed to be one of the best refs in the game. He's probably arguably still one of our best refs. But yeah, VAR, again, it's something they just don't execute very well. Matthew D'Souza says, "FK, sorry, but the Wolves' second yellow is just a yellow. Always looks worse in a still pic." Yeah, listen, granted, I've just used that earlier to say that the images always, action replays make things look worse. Still photos make things look worse. I think it was just as bad. Like that's my point. Like in isolation, neither the Gomez one nor the Miles Lewis-Skelly one are straight reds, but the fact that Miles Lewis-Skelly got a straight red means that Gomez should have had a straight red. It's the lack of consistency, I guess. Oh, Flipdoc says, "If there are eyeballs in your head and a brain in your skull, how does it make sense?" Flipdoc, I love you, man. Bakary Lasagna, welcome to the show, says, "Hours later, I'm literally fuming, bruv. Still fuming. I am fuming still. The blood pressure is kind of going up." Paul James says, "FK, it wasn't an error. An error is not meant. Oliver meant to put himself in the spotlight and meant to help Manchester City, knowing that MLS would miss the game." Oh my God, yeah, of course. It's a 3-game ban, right? So what's he going to miss? Newcastle, Manchester City, and oh my God, that's not good. Although Ricky Calafiore is back. What a golazzo. I mean, guys, look, listen. At 10 versus 10, there was a really nice moment where where you saw Gabriel on video. Certainly I did in the footage that I was watching. And I think we were on top at that point. And so a couple of things. I thought, even after 10 men, we started that second half really well. created chances. Declan Rice, great performance, as Thomas Partey as well. And we probably could have nicked the game at 11 versus 10. However, when Gomez went off, there was still about 4 minutes to play, I think. And there was a moment where Gabriel was on camera and he was like, yes, like talking to the team, like, come on, vamos, let's go. And like, I think the belief was going through the veins, as was, of course, the adrenaline and the sort of, then there was an urgency about the way that we played. And I was, at that moment, I thought, right, okay, they're down to 10. I think we're going to nab this. I think we're going to do it. And so after his second yellow and that red, we had sort of 20 minutes to play. And it was Ricky Calafiori who gave us the victory, who gave us the points, because what a guy this guy is, right? He's missed more games than he's played, but he scored 2 absolutely vital goals. And the celebrations at the moment, he sort of smashes he smashes it, but the ball sort of rolls into the net in slow motion. And then he goes off running towards the bench like he did at the Etihad at Manchester City, if you guys remember that celebration. But this time sort of pointing to the cannon. And I love shit like this. It gets me giddy, man. I love seeing players. I'm a grown man. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But like when these players do stuff like point to the badge and brush it off like Thierry Henry used to do, it makes me feel so fucking good. It's so wholesome. Like this boy is a gunner. He is a gooner as well at heart. And you can tell what it means to him to be back. And look at that image as well. That was on his Insta just a couple of days before the game. We're so back. And it feels like saying we are so back. So good to see him score. And it was a vital goal. A really, really important goal for us in the 74th minute from Riccardo Calafiori. A real golazzo. And the celebrations were fantastic from the team. Flipdoc says Calafiori. Do you know what I've just realized? The IT and the AU and whatever it is that people like to put are you trying to put flags in the chat? Is that what it is? And obviously YouTube doesn't display flags, or are you deliberately putting in the initials of the country? I'm not sure. Michael Oliver says Dave has not sent off any City players in over 50 games yet. He sent off 8 in 55. Ben says we should appeal it. Jonathan K says we should win the appeal. Alex Bellotti says, hand in hand, unfortunately, the best league in the world will have the most corruption. But Arteta's words after that corrupt Newcastle game has probably cost us 2 league titles. Do you remember that? He's a disgrace. I kind of want him to just lose his shit. Do you know what? If he came out and called Michael Oliver the C-bomb and got like a 6-game, 10-game ban, I think I could live with that. Yeah, I think I could live with that. Run the Golazzo audio. Yeah, I mean, it was, oh, mate, sorry. I just love it so much. It was just, I was so angry. And I was like, so in the moment that I just, I lost my mind. Anyway, I'll stop it before I lose too many people. Matthew D'Souza says, FK, if the Premier League clubs all vote to have the best officials from abroad, does it happen? I don't know. I don't know what the rule is. Like I think the Premier League has this rule where referees have to be from within the UK. I don't know if that's a rule across leagues across Europe. Maybe it is. Maybe are there only Spanish refs in Spain? Only Italian refs in Italy? I'm not sure. Nico says absolute scenes when he scored. Loved the passion from him. Jonathan says Calafiori brings a lot offensively to our game. Just needs to stay fit, get some consistency. Well, look, he does need to stay fit. And on the offensive thing, when he scored it, I don't know why, and it's not a comparison. And he happened to score in the Chelsea game, but you know how Guardiola just pops up for City time and time again. I think he's got the most goals for a defensive player in the league this season. Maybe this guy could be our Gvardiol in that he finds himself in really good positions, has a good finish on him, and can add to those goals. Maybe he'd be on 4 or 5 goals by this point had he have been completely fit. I wonder. But Dave is saying, Calafiori's back in time from injury. Hopefully he might be able to be left back over the next 2 or 3 games that Miles Lewis-Skelly misses, unless, of course, we appeal, which I am yet to hear from any sort of social media or journalists. Flipdoc says he is a true gunner. There you go. Gvardiol has the most touches for a City player in the opposition box. Calafiori can do the same. You probably beat me to it, my man. The flag is showing for us in the video. That's what it is. So the IT was the Italian flag. Disgracia, says Flipdoc, as does 2K Dav. Welcome to the show, my man. And Jonathan says, is embarrassing. Is embarrassing. I love Mikel. Wayne says, the saddest part is that the PGMOL make their own rules, so they will somehow make us believe that this is in the letter of the law. Well, look, my head is on Mars. Let's take a look at these and let's lower the tone, lower the mood, get you guys back on Mars with me. Michael Oliver in particular. You look at the decisions on the left-hand side, you know, the Martinelli, do you remember that one? The 2 Martinelli yellows. I mean, oh my God. And the decisions on the right, these are some of the decisions that we sort of said, you know, at the start of the show that we've had this season. You've got Brighton in that top left. I don't think that was Michael Oliver. I want to say that was Chris Kavanagh. You've got Michael Oliver at the Etihad. Remember when Trossard sort of kicked the ball away just before half-time? 10 men. You've got somebody else, bottom left. I don't know what his name is, but William Saliba getting sent off down on the south coast away at Bournemouth. Had to play an entire half, lost there as well, of course. And then Michael Oliver today against Wolves, another red card. And like these red cards are just so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Honestly, when I look at these pictures, I just think to myself, we are the unluckiest club in the world. We're not, you know, none of these things. In fact, I'm just thinking about them. Not any of these decisions are because of anything particularly physical or dangerous or late timed. They're just really harsh, like kicking the ball away, moving the ball away, you know, not taking the throw in quick enough or whatever it was with Gabby Martinelli, like just petulant stuff. It's wild. It's wild. Absolutely wild. Jonathan says, UK, they're all from Manchester, mate, in the north. Doug says, I'm so glad that you sent that to the PGMOL. Bellissimo. That's a word that I missed out. I should have used that in there as well. KSSMYW, thank you so much, my man, for joining us tonight. Says, hi, FK, just dropping in, but my God, that red card. What the fuck is going on, FK? So out of scale with context and attitude of the player. I just can't believe anything other than corruption at this point. Paul James says, ironic that Gary O'Neill suggested that the officials might be biased and was charged and fined by the EPL. Listen, any manager that speaks out of line will get a charge, will get a fine, will probably get a suspension on the touchline. That's what I just said a few moments ago. If Mikel Arteta came out and just told the PGMOL to fuck you in a post-match press conference, he'd probably get a 10-game ban. I could live with that. The more I think about it, the more I want it, actually. Matthew D'Souza says, is Tierney going to Celtic? Well, he came on and put in a delicious cross. Did you guys see that? And his work rate as well for the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, seeing the game out. I like what I see from Kieran. And if there's no move to Celtic this month, just keep him around the squad. And listen, Miles Lewis-Skelly's now not going to play. Calafiori, you can't really rely on yet physically. Tierney might be getting a game if Zinchenko is on his way out, as is being sort of reported, Atletico Madrid. Could you imagine Zinchenko playing for Diego Simeone? That's just wild, that pairing. But also Dortmund interested. Wayne says Tomiyasu being sent off at Palace. Oh my God. Do you remember that? Oh my God. Tomiyasu getting sent off. That was the David Luiz one. The one where he didn't even get that contact. Like his knee, I think it was. Getting sent off. That was also against Wolves. Oh my. And then Tomiyasu, when he was kicked in the face by the young defender, what was his name? Not in the face. Was it in the face, or was it a studs in the chest or something? I can't remember, but there was no red card. I remember that. And this is the interesting point. Liverpool would never get those decisions. They just don't. Neither are they getting injuries, nor are they getting like stupid red cards. And maybe the refs, maybe PGMOL feel sorry for them after the David Coote thing. I don't know. I don't know. My head is on Mars. I just don't want it to. Yeah, I know. Low Profile 26. That's a new username I've not seen. Welcome to the show. By the way, hundreds of you watching live right now on YouTube. Please do like the video before you go. It's completely free to do. And subscribe if you like what you see. We do late night lattes, late night lounges on a Friday night now, a regular show with Wayne Bellet and Yem. We'll do match reaction videos. We do the post-match phone-in on Twitter. So stick around and let the good times roll. Paul James says, FK, the red cards have nothing to do with luck. The refs clearly have an agenda to handicap Arsenal at every opportunity. That is choice, not bad luck. Ben Godfrey, that was the guy's name against Tomiyasu. I remember it. Really, really bad. Do you remember the MacArthur kick into Saka? Do you remember that where he just went straight through his back and twatted him as hard as he could at the Emirates, and Saka was on the ground in pieces. Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible. Sorry, my son's screaming at me from outside. So look, there we are. Look, it's been a very, very eventful day. We've gone to Wolves in a game that we should have won quite comfortably. We had some last-minute changes to that lineup with Odegaard getting sick and with Marino missing out and Wanyeri coming in. And we still had to get the job done. And we made work hard for ourselves through we didn't make work hard for ourselves. Actually, the refs made work hard for ourselves through what I still think a terrible sending off for Miles Lewis-Skelly, who will now miss some big games. And even at 11 versus 10, I thought in the second half we came out and I thought we meant business and I thought we could have probably gone and won the game. But it was 10 v 10 with about 20 to play. And that just gave us that sort of injection of belief and that urgency to go on, and we won it thanks to Ricardo Calafiori. What a great goal! What a great celebration! And we hung on in the end. And actually, a 1-0 to the Arsenal under these circumstances, with the way that we've seen these sorts of decisions, is quite a very satisfying fuck you to everybody. Everybody, basically, really. Our haters, non-Arsenal fans, referees, the Premier League, the lot. 1-0 to the Arsenal. We're still around. We are still going to be in this race. Wayne says, I can't wait for Howard Webb to be on Sky Sports telling us it was correct. Well, look, if Mike Dean has allegedly said that it wasn't a red, Jamie O'Hara, of all people, saying it wasn't a red, the BBC commentators on 5 Live, including Alan Shearer, saying you will never see a red card like that ever again. Come on. We refuse to die, says Stephen Foote, like our team. I love that, man. Just an opinion, says Tim Merrick. Raya is the best modern keeper I've ever seen. Yeah, look, I mentioned David Raya at the start. Not an outstanding performance today, but everything he does on the ball is just so sensible. Slows it down when he has to, speeds it up when he has to, control, calm, composed, just so assured. The defenders must feel so safe in front of him. Absolutely love it. Look, it's not over until it's over, says Flipdoc, and that's a really nice way to end the show. Look, it's only the 25th of Jan. There's just a few days to go now until this transfer window closes. Of course, it goes into 2 or 3 days of February. Maybe there's an appeal on the cards for Miles Lewis-Skelly. We'll have to wait and see. We do need Liverpool to start dropping points, as Jonathan Kay says, and you just never know. But somehow, despite all of these things that we've talked about, we are still second and just 6 points behind with about 16-ish games to go. Is that right? 15 games to go. A lot of football to play. Liverpool, of course, fighting on all 4 fronts. They haven't had many injuries. They haven't had any decisions go against them. So, if there is any sort of thing as, law of averages or luck or, fate sort of evening out, hopefully Liverpool's end of the season is going to come back to bite them in the bum. But listen, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. I love these chats, particularly when we win. It's very, very satisfying. I love the fact that you guys make time to tune in, to listen to me and to help me process what we've kind of seen. We'll be back in about 45 minutes on Twitter for the post-match phone-in. If you're wondering what the hell that is, go over and check it out. If you're too impatient to know what that is, go over to Apple and Spotify and whatnot and just search for Latte Firm and listen to the format. Just hear what Arsenal fans have to say. That'll be Wayne and I in the hot seat. More content to come as well. So late night latte, maybe in the next couple of days, where we reflect on the weekend's action, maybe on Monday night after the United game. And then we'll be back with the late night lounge. Like I say, a weekly fixture on Fridays with Wayne Bele and Yembele, just a kind of chill out session and just reflect on the week that's been and look forward to the weekend ahead every weekend. And if you'd like to, final plea for me, support the channel through Patreon. It always helps with the running costs of the channel. Head over to patreon.com/lattefirm. For the price of a coffee a month, you can support that, be part of a really growing and very active chat community on there, and have access to match tickets. There are some ticket giveaways. Might do a giveaway for the City game. Yeah, I think I'll give away a ticket to the City game to our Patreon members. And if you can't make the game, obviously you'll get some vouchers that you can spend at arsenal.com or a retailer of your choice. Right, we'll leave it there. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the weekend. Match of the day is going to be just that much sweeter. Super Sunday will be even sweeter as well. Let's hope the scum get battered at Leicester. Until next time, it is bye for now.